what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Pew Pew Cafe. Hey, cafe is a place where freedom, firearms, and real conversation happens. And man, we like to talk about these things over a fresh cup of coffee, bourbon, glass of water. But let's keep it real. No one goes to the bar or a cafe to order a cup of water. So hey, this is where we do it, and we do it big. We like to have real conversations. Hey, I'm your boy Mac Williams, the curator, the Excalibur of this thing, trying to make this thing happen at here at the Pew Pew Cafe. So once again, thank you for joining us. We talk about everything. We talk about a nice cigar. We talk about a nice bourbon. But one of the things that we like to talk about in these conversations also include the responsibility, education, and the mindset that comes with being a legal firearms person, or even if you're willing to go down that path of being a legal responsible person in the firearms world over uh, a nice cup of bourbon or a nice stick a cigar, whichever it is that you have, because I'm gonna tell you, you'll soak it in a lot better. However, what we don't do is we don't uh we don't handle firearms while we're drinking any alcoholic beverages, because that would throw out the responsible part, right? So, hey, in the world where opinions are loud and education is often missed, man, we got one of the most prolific guys here in the great state of Michigan, the Great Lakes. We got a gentleman who I not only call a brother, a friend, a fellow instructor, man, but he is the man that comes with the educational piece. Guy you want to sit next to when the shit pops off. He is Mr. Dexter Mitchell. Hey, welcome to the Pew Pew Cafe. First
Well,
and foremost, man, hey, I'm glad to have you. It's a, how do they say? It's cold outside right now. So what you sipping on? Tell the good people what you're drinking. It's kind of early, but hey, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So let's get into it.
it is early, and I am drinking on the V8 energy drink, peach flavored.
Energy drink, with the twist, with a little flavor to it. I get it. I get it. I get it. Hey,
Yep, just got finished with the
welcome to the
driveway.
show. Yeah, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. All right. Hey, man, we happy to have you. So hey, man, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. Let's have this conversation, man. Hey, I enjoy talking to you anyway. So, I know you've been a firearm instructor for quite some time with the USCCA. Um, you've been around a while. I know you teach church security. You do a lot of different things. Hey, man, nice beard, by the way. But yes,
Thank you.
man, can you tell us a little more about you, man? Tell us what's going on. Tell us how you got into the 2A community. What was it? Was it just started off as a hobby and then went into a little deeper? Tell us a little more, man. The people want to know.
Well, I've always been into BB guns as a kid, and it just grew from there. I have no military background, so I was not in any other armed services, but shouts out to everybody who did serve. I support them. I don't have a law enforcement background. However, I have worked with law enforcement on the municipal side, meaning that governments are often the bearers of the police department, and I've worked with them hand in hand that way. But I got into firearms, and it is a expensive habit that has continued to grow. And for those of us who are addicted, whether it's Glock, whether it's Staccato, whether it's a Buell Armory, whether it is Springfield, or the list goes on and on. I don't want to neglect anybody because I have a collection of firearms. FN, you get what you'd like and you just like what you get. And so a lot of my students will ask me, what's the gun for me? And I tell them, what day of the week is it? That might change. And they go, well, how do you know? Can't you just tell me which one should be right for me? I said, that's like me trying to find the perfect dress for my wife without shopping with my wife. Mm-mm, not gonna happen. But I can tell you what to look for, and that's about it.
Okay, okay. So tell us, how'd your firearm journey start?
Well, my firearm journey started with sort of a tragedy. I got into the analytical side. A member of my family was unalived by a friend of theirs, and it was devastating to me. It was one of my aunts, um, and I started looking up statistics on firearm related deaths and crime. And what people will tell you is that pain, you can either deal with it and it cripples you, or you can learn from it and grow from it. I chose to learn from it and grow from it. So at her death, I started looking. So this is way before the internet where you could Google anything or chat GTP it. I contacted the FBI and started getting thick book manuals like this probably a month and a half later that just indicated how they tracked things and what was going on with it. And from there, I went into protector mode as to how do you change this? How do you get better at it? So I did it a lot for myself. And then we had this thing that happened in September 11th of 2021. And that literally shocked and shut down our country. And we had the 9/11 Twin Towers. And I literally was caught with my pants down. And as my wife worked for a governmental institution that went on lockdown, and they literally put barricades up, and she goes, "Honey, they are issuing out these weapons. We can't leave and nobody can come on." I had our daughter with me, and I'm sitting at home like many Americans watching TV, and all I literally had was a Taurus PT 92 9mm with me and not that many rounds. So after those two experiences, it amplified me into more instruction and teaching others what I didn't know.
Man, a lot of people um, had a huge wake up call, and when 9/11 happened, I think the world was, "Hey, is this really happening?" And it was a fearful, scary time for a lot of people who were around to see it. Younger people probably do not know, but yeah, definitely one of those things where it was a very, very different time. I'll just say that. So when was the moment that you realized that what you were doing and teaching, um, and in terms of safety and responsibility, when did you know it was more than just a hobby? Like what was it, the defining moment where you said, "Hey, man, I've been learning a lot. I've been like going down this road." What was the aha moment where you wanted to pass on this information?
There wasn't one. My story is very simple. It just migrated into it over time. It's the old adage of how do you cook a frog? You slowly put him in the water and you turn up the heat. And I didn't know that I was doing it, which is why some people go, it sounds so natural when you do it, because I naturally just came into it. What I did in the beginning was rounded up a bunch of people so my other Mason brother could teach firearms to them. And as he was teaching the classes, I was always sitting in there and giving points and giving some other instructions. And as a good guy, he literally said to me, "You know, you can teach this class. This is all you got to do." And I was like, "No, I'm not ready for that. To teach somebody, you got to be responsible. You got to know everything." And what he was like is, nah, he was military trained. And I went to one course and it was taught by a military guy, because that's typically how a lot of these courses are taught. They're either ex military or ex law enforcement back in the day. Now you have civilians who are either lawyers, private citizens, salespeople who are coming out with their passions for this stuff now, and they want to teach it in a language that they enjoy talking to other people about. So that's what I ended up doing. I took a class, got into it, and the very first time I had to do a lesson plan, I'm up there, I'm nervous, and the instructor was in the back. It was a long day, and he said I had one of the most memorable lines in class. And I was like, "Look, I know we all just smelled the pizza, so I lost your attention. So I'm gonna wrap this up in the next 10 minutes so we can eat." And he looked up from his paper and started laughing. He was like, "Well, you're gonna be able to make it." And I was like, it was natural. Why? The pizza came in after a long day of class. You and me both know once you smell the food, do you not get hungry? And then you don't pay attention. So I'm like, give me 10 minutes. We're out. We can grab something to eat and come get back at it. And the class erupted in laughter. And so one of my methods is teaching through laughter, teaching a very serious subject through laughter, and it stretches over in multiple platforms. So much like Jesus taught in parables, I'm not as good as he is, but I'm a student of him, and I'm trying to be the best in teaching parables.
I know that's right. I know that's right. So, man, since we're talking, the teaching portion of it, let's break off into that. Let's break off into the education responsibility part. So, as a firearms instructor, what is how would you say the main thing that is a big misconception about teaching firearm safety and teaching in class?
The main misconception.
Misconception, correct.
It's scary. And what do I mean by
Great.
that? What do I
Yeah.
mean by that? It's scary. Well, the gun is going to go off. Oh my goodness, I can't touch it. Oh my goodness, I can't do this. You can't play with your gun. You can't have your gun out if anybody's at your house. And I'm like, yeah, you can. You can literally carry your gun on you. And I teach a lot of concealed carry, so I tell my students, here's what I would like you to do when you get prepared to start carrying. I don't check first if you can carry in your workplace. Most places have these rules that say, no, you can't. And I understand that, not going to debate it. But if you're at your house and you can carry, check with your spouse. Now, if you can carry, put your holster on. And what? Walk around the house, vacuum, clean, straighten up, organize the garage, put your firearm in it. In the beginning, you don't have to put it in with the magazine because I understand that you're afraid, but get used to the weight of that holster. Are you carrying on your appendix left, on your appendix right, small of the back left, small of the back right? Are you carrying an ankle holster? Are you carrying shoulder? How are you carrying? Pick one. That's it, just one. Because what happens, and studies have shown, under pressure, your brain, your higher brain function checks out. And you have to go off of basic instinct muscle memory. If on Monday you carry an ankle holster, on Tuesday you carry a shoulder holster, on Wednesdays you're carrying in the back, on Thursdays you're carrying appendix, on Friday you've got it in your car, something happens on Tuesday, where's your pistol? Uh, uh, I got to check all these spots again. If you don't carry appendix style, carry appendix style. Now, I get grief from fellas because they go, hold on, you put it right there. What happens if it goes off? It's going to be a whole lot of trouble. But guns aren't designed to just go off by themselves. Well, the jury's still out on one particular firearm that's got some restrictions against it right now.
Right,
But
right.
the 99% don't automatically go off. So that's where you have a situation of get used to carrying it, because the worst thing you can do, and I know you've seen it as an instructor, and I know you've seen it as a gun enthusiast. You'll see guys who are just carrying now because every 10 minutes they got to adjust and check to make sure it's still there. It's still there.
Right.
It's still there. It's like your wallet. Unless somebody bumps me, I'm not checking to see if my wallet is still there because I know it's there. I'm not checking to see if my watch is still on me. I know it's there. I don't have to check to see if my wedding ring is on because it's there. Those are the things that I put on before I leave the house. Make your firearm part of that package, especially if you're in the state of Michigan, other than the fact that your workplace may have some rules that say you can't carry at work. Then my answer to you is don't carry at work.
True. True, true. Um, it's funny that you mentioned that, and I'm just speaking as a firearms instructor as well. It's we get that question all the time, right? Like, how should I carry? Um, and everybody wants a different answer that suits them. You should carry in the small of your back. You should carry right side, strong side right, or strong side left, or appendix, or hey, carry it in your purse. Hey, carry it on your ankle. So they want you to define those things for them, and it's really tough as a firearms instructor to dictate a person's normal habit. Um, so, very, very good, strong point. So, another question: in your experience, what's the first thing new gun owners should learn, but they often don't?
To clean and break down my firearm. And I do, it is so often overlooked. I literally offer a gun cleaning class for people. I've done a gun cleaning class for church members. I do gun cleaning classes for my students, especially some of my more senior saints, students who have had a gun from the 70s that they haven't cleaned. You do know that's almost 50 years and they're like, well, but I keep it in a drawer. You have to dust your TV and your furniture. So if this has been kept for 50 years, there's some dust bunnies in there. One of the things that I had was one of my members and I find firearms from time to time at a great price, especially used ones from an FFL dealer. And I put out on one of my group texts, hey, look, there's a firearm for sale. It's a blah, blah, blah. One of my people went out there and picked it up. Great deal. I said, okay. He said, hey, I got that gun, but they didn't show me how to break it down and clean. I said, you know what? Bring it over. I'll break it down, clean it for you. I broke it down. Mac, the dust bunny in that bad boy was about that big. I said, I don't think they cleaned it out. And the gun shop didn't. They said it's a buy it at your own risk. This is it. They didn't do anything to clean it up, prep it up. They probably wiped the outside of it, but they didn't take the time to break it down. We cleaned that gun, and that rag went from white to a dark, smitten gray black. Uh, and while was the least of the worst that came out, we're like, I'm glad you didn't fire this because this could have started a fire. But we got it cleaned up, got it put back together, oiled it up, boom, 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 and it ran like a top. He did very well. He was very pleased with it. But you have to sometimes teach students to do that. And those people who haven't handled a gun don't understand it's typically four components. It's the base or the grip, it's the barrel, it's the slide, and it's the spring. That's it. Now you can get technical and go into all of the components of it. That's typically I leave that to gunsmithing. That's a whole nother level. But if you're talking hit the release level on a Glock. I teach them the handshake, drop the two pins down, pull the trigger, slide it out, pop them apart, run your brushes through it, run your oil through it, run the rail, put it back together. And I have them put it back together. And this is all they hear. Yes, no, nope, think. Yes, no, think. Yes, no, yep. Put it back. There you go. Because I won't be with you when you're cleaning your gun Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock. I won't be with you at 3 o'clock in the morning. You need to know that those four pieces fit together like a puzzle. What do you start with? Start with the slide. What else do you do? You drop the barrel in. What do you do after that? You drop the spring in. The spring has to go one way or the other. Okay. Does it need to be flat? Does it stand up? Okay. Look at how you took it apart. Clean it up. Put it back together. And you'd be surprised at the confidence level that starts to spike with your students. They haven't walked on the range, they haven't fired anything, but now they know how to break their gun down. I'm John Wick, baby.
I know that's right. Hey, so with that, okay, let's talk about it. So, how do you tell the 120-pound, 130-pound female that enters your class, goes through the instructional piece, and says to you, sir, what is the right firearm for me? What should I buy? I went to ABC gun store and they were telling me to get this 1911. What what do you tell this individual? How do you instruct them on what the right firearm is? Or do you?
I tell them to look for something that fits in their hand. Can you handle it? Can you rack the firearm? And including my wife, who loves me but may not like me all the time. And I say that because my wife had a firearm that was hard for her to rack. In her journeys, she has to travel for work. She woke me up one morning. So you're talking about the 120, 130-pound person. My wife woke me up. It's early because she had to be at work early, but she had like a 2 hour trip that she had to drive to. And she said, can you rack my gun? And I said to my wife, who I love, what would you do if I wasn't here? You gonna give it to the bad guy, have him rack it for you? My wife, there's a song out that says you can learn more from silence than any speech could ever teach you. My wife was quiet, and all I heard was the echoing of my words in the back of my mind. And I just said, uh-oh. She took her pistol, she said bye, gave me a kiss, walked out the door, and I was like this, uh, what we gonna do? Took her out that weekend and found a firearm that she could manipulate and that she could handle. And shouts out to Smith and Wesson on the Easy 9 millimeter. She got that one.
Absolutely.
She loved it, and she was like this. Oh, and she could load the magazine. It was easy for her. Now my wife helps me teach the class, and she goes with pride and with 100% confidence that I did not think my wife was going to be in the firearms. Said, this is mine, and I'm going to tell you now. And she helps those young ladies do it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I I want Tammy's gun. They don't even call it a Smith and Wesson anymore. They're like, what's the gun your wife? I need to know what she shoots. That's the one I want, because we allow them to touch the firearm, rack the firearm, and do it. And it's baby steps to get them to the confident level that they can carry it. So I know I'm stealing Glock's slogan of confidence is what you carry, but there's a ton of confidence that comes when you can handle and you can manipulate a firearm on your own. And loading that magazine, whether you're in a state or in a district like Washington, D.C. or California that says high capacity magazines are bad, you can only have 10 rounds. Well, you and I know 10 rounds in the hands of the wrong person is still like somebody with a 30 round magazine. High round magazine or low round magazine capacity is not going to stop anything. Well, they got to reload so they can kill 10 people, drop another mag, and keep going. Get something that people can handle. And that's what I tell them. There is no perfect gun, because my wife now owns another Glock because she wanted something with a dot on it. Uh, we've got an FN. She loves that one, but it's too big to carry concealed on her body. So the Smith and Wesson is good. The Glock that she has several Glocks. She has a 43, and she also has the Glock 45 with the red dot on it. So it's like a hat. Mac, what's the perfect baseball cap for you? Today it's gonna be Staccato. It's gonna be Vivid Firearm for me. It might be Springfield Armory. It might be the Mets. It might be the Houston Oilers. It might be the Dallas Cowboys. Shouts out to them if they can get their game together. Uh, it changes depending on the weather, the time of day, what you're wearing, and what outfit you have. So I often tell my students, buy multiple firearms.
I learned the lesson the hard way, and I learned it twice actually. Shout out to my wife. Uh, Thought I was doing the right thing by buying her first firearm, which was was not a good choice. I mean, bought her a 40 caliber. I don't even remember what it was, but she shot it, didn't like it. You know, uh, because I traveled, wanted her to be safe. Bought her a second firearm where I wanted her to be able to not hate it. So I did buy the Smith and Wesson 380 Easy. She loved it. She shot very well with it. However, but when she became an instructor, she jumped to the dark side. She went over to Glock. So, and I don't say that in a negative sense, but I'm just saying Glocks are like Hondas, man. You can hook them up, you can put red dots on them, the whole nine. When you buy a Honda, man, there was some kitted out Hondas back in the day, and guess what? You can kit out some Glocks, and they make a very reliable firearm as well. So shout out to Glock. I don't own one. However, she does. So at various times, she does allow me to shoot hers. So that's when I'm just want to switch it up a little bit. I know you are a Glock individual, that you own multiple Glocks. So and that being said, um, is your wife a Glock person, would you say? Because I know I believe that I've only heard of two other firearms that you are super duper fans of besides Glock. One would be the Staccato,
Yep.
and the second would be the Springfield Armory Hellcat. So
Yep. So between my wife and I, because we have reciprocity in the great state of Michigan, I don't give out the number of guns that I own, but I will say in the Glock family, I've got about seven of them between the two of us. But Springfield Armory, shouts out to them, because through those guys, I carry that as an EBC. Before my daughter left us to go to another state, that was her 21st birthday gift, was a Hellcat. Why? Small, controllable, and high capacity magazines. And the reason why I push for high capacity magazines for anybody is because you never know how many shots you're going to need. Hollywood has us drinking this Kool-Aid that says, hey, look, one bullet, one kill, and you can do this and you can do that. Well, in my family, we don't teach people to kill. We teach people to eliminate the threat. And in eliminating a threat, you may need one threat, may take 3, 4 shots to eliminate. By the way, FBI studies have shown with breaking and entering now, and the FBI gets their field information from the local police. So the local police entered into a nationwide database for the FBI to collect, and they'll house all the information. Studies have shown recently that you can have, with these younger people breaking into homes, 4, 5, 6 people, where they break into a home. Two people will hold the family at bay. One person's doing the lookout, and 2 people are unloading all the stuff in the house. That gives you 5 people right there. If you got and I'm not knocking revolvers because I teach with them, but if you've got a revolver or a 6-shot semi-automatic, you can only give one serving to each one of them and hope that you're there with one extra bullet. What happens if you miss? What happens if you accidentally discharge too soon? All of those things come into play. So with the Hellcat, and I believe my daughter had two 15-round magazines because I did up hers for it, and I loaded them with self-defense hollow points. If you've got 5 people, you at least got 3 bullets for each one of them. You may not need that many. But in the words of most truck owners, I'd rather have the power and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yeah, agreed, agreed. I like my my firearm variety like I like my shrimp. Bang bang. So, hey, so while we're on this topic, as a firearm instructor, how do you balance teaching responsibility with emphasizing on confidence as well as empathy to your fellow man if the shit hits the fan? Because like right now we're seeing a lot of young people doing a lot of smash and grabs and running up in people's homes and things like that. And one of the biggest things that I've been seeing on fellow YouTubers, things like that, is a lot of these people are young. And there was a gentleman recently that two young men, ran up in his house to steal some valuables or whatever, and the homeowner shot one of them and unalived him, and the world's all in an uproar. And I say world, I use that loosely. Where like, hey, couldn't you have had some empathy and just shot him in the leg? Have you could it's just stuff. How do you correlate when you're teaching the difference between protecting yourself and showing empathy?
Empathy comes after, but protecting yourself should come first. How do you teach the difference? You ask your students, what's most important to you? And sometimes your students may not need a firearm. And it's not always the way of the gun. Can you have an alarm system on your house? Great, get that. Do I talk to my students about having motion detectors on there so when people walk past your house, the lights come on because you know the bad guy doesn't want to be seen? Do you have not to give a shout out to Ring Doorbell or Vivint, but do you have some type of recording devices as people are coming in, you can see them? And here's what I have to come back to those people with. You mean to tell me I'm legally, lawfully in my home? So listen to the words I'm using. I pay taxes on my home. I pay a mortgage on my home. I'm paying the light and gas bill and all of my bills for my home. My children sleep in there. At some point in time, my children are all grown above the age of 21, but they were small. And at one point, my wife was pregnant as well. So you mean it's just stuff or the mental anguish that's going to be with them for the rest of their life, that they know for a fact that someone broke into their house, hurt, eliminated, unalived, beat, violated them, and then took the stuff away. Because it's neat to always sit back and Monday morning quarterback and go, you know what? If I was here, I would have threw it over to the left, or I would have threw it to the right, or I would have just held the ball and ran right up the middle. You saw that huge hole there. Everybody can Monday morning quarterback, but you weren't in the game to start with. You can't throw the ball 10 yards, let alone 90 down the field. I often tell my students to put themselves in that situation. What's most important to you? Mine is to make sure my wife wakes up. Mine is to make sure that my children feel safe and secure. If I have to unalive someone or eliminate a threat, that's not my choice. That's their choice because they should have chose another house that didn't have a motion sensor on it, that didn't have a burglar system on it, that didn't have security cameras around it. You chose to violate all of those. And at what point in time do we put the onus back on the person who violated all of that? That's the part that a lot of us aren't talking about. You want to cry, my child only broke into your house to feed his child and buy Pampers. I literally did hear that explanation on YouTube. And I thought to myself, you took the time to do all of that? Did you take the time to fill out a job application? There is no struggle. Why can't you work at McDonald's until you find something like a Best Buy? Until you find something like a Sam's, until you find factory work, until you can start your own lawn care service. Why can't you work for what you want? Oh, wait, you chose the job of breaking and entering. I chose to defend myself, and I would choose to call the police to make sure that everything went well. And I'm surprised that we're having so many court cases now where family members are suing the people that that they've attempted to violate because they were just doing it for what? We have a government that gives you an assistance program. Why can't you do it for yourself? Do you work more than 40 hours a week, Mac?
Yeah, most of the time, double that.
What for? Oh my God. I can't believe that. I can't believe that you can't hustle. And I heard it in one of my motivational videos for working out. The crackhead doesn't say he's broken, he can't do it. He wants to get that next hit. He's willing to do anything for it. Why aren't you willing to get that legal paycheck for it?
Yeah, because it's work. It's that four-letter word, right? So, and then it's leads me to ask this question. We are in a world where the motion picture industry has a lot of influence on younger people, and we glamorize it, right? We glamorize the bad guy, that man, I ran up in this bank, stole 20 million, or stole this $50 million car. I mean, I don't even know if a car, I mean, I don't own any cars that are 50 million, but I'm sure they're out there.
Get some
But
Rolls Royces and Bentleys.
yeah, right. We glamorize that, and nowadays you see it more often with young people where they're feeling like it's worth the risk, and they're not really thinking about the risk being death or the risk being that you can hurt somebody else. They're not thinking of the turmoil or um, things that you're causing other people, PTSD, things of that nature. So it's we're just living in that kind of world today. So as a firearms instructor, how often do you teach your students that says to you, well, I only want the firearm for the home. I don't want to be out in the streets carrying. What Because I know that one of the things is, and I think for the listeners, so they understand this, that I don't know too many people that start off carrying like right away, like immediately. As soon as that license comes in, boom, hey, I'm carrying, no matter what. It's so. Would you say that they're wrong in that mindset, or do you think it's a baby step situation?
So you've asked a couple questions in there. And let's start with one of the more recent ones. Do I know some students who day one when that CPL hits for the state of Michigan, in Illinois or any place else? Michigan CPL is concealed pistol license, concealed carry weapons. What your state calls it is whatever. When you get licensed by your state to carry, I've got a bunch of students who carried that day. But those were the same students who came to class with their firearms already. Those were the students who sometimes I have to talk down from being John Wick and want to show me how they can do this with the tack light and the mag light, and I can change a magazine out like this. And my wife can use the same gun I'm using. Stop. That's something you've picked. It fits you. You like it. That doesn't necessarily go for your wife. And I have to walk them back to go, your wife, your girlfriend, your fiance, don't go shooting with them. Let them come shooting with me. You can see what I'm doing because my wife is at the range with me and how I'm talking to them. Now, I push back with Hollywood because that's when you started off with Hollywood for me and how it teaches them to glamorize that other four-letter word, which is risk. What's the risk of running into a bank? The risk is you get caught. And what I push back with is an old TV show called Oz. Not the Wizard of Oz, but Oz. And a cat named Adabesi's. And I see you laughing because you watched that show. They see the glamorization of Hollywood. But when you watched Oz and what happens in the men's prison, I was like this. What you gonna do? The closest thing I'm gonna come to violating the law is fracture the speed limit from time to time. If it says 75, I might do 77. If it says 70, I might still be doing 77. Um, but I'm not gonna go out there and do any major crimes that I can go to jail. Why? Because I keep imagining a cat named Atabises trying to talk to me. I don't want to be talked to like that. That was too graphic for me. So the pain is this. What do you choose to focus on? You choose to focus on how they glamorized Hollywood or how they told the real story of what happens to me in prison, because I actually know a couple friends who are prison guards, and they said, oh no, that was pretty accurate. It's a bunch of them in here, and this is what they do. And I was like, this, y'all don't stop it. We can't always find it. And sometimes it's multiple visitors at the same time. Like,
Mm.
oh,
Right.
so you picking that side of Hollywood. There's some other Hollywood flicks out there that are telling you, hey, you take that risk if you want to. Here's your reward. So sometimes people may wish to be unalive before they wish to spend 20 years in the prison.
Facts. Yeah. Good point. Good point. You know, so jumping back words a little bit, on the let's jump over to the mindset, okay? Let's jump over to the mindset and real world application. You know, how often do you hear, I'll figure out when the time comes? Why is that mindset dangerous? You know, like I'll say it to you like this. A lot of people feel like I could never be in that situation. So I'll figure out when the time comes. Why is that a dangerous mindset when you're a legal firearms carrier, and you choose not to carry?
So you ask a loaded question.
It
That's
is,
that's a
but it's a real
danger.
question.
It's a real
It's
question. That's a dangerous mentality anywhere, because I know I don't, and my children don't know because I carry the car insurance on it. So it's a dangerous situation to drive dirty with no insurance. But there are people who do that. And I'm sitting there going, what do you do if you get into an accident? Well, then, I'll get insurance then and then get it fixed. No, you won't, because they date those police reports and you can't change the date on it because now you're talking about criminal charges. So what's going to happen? Well, I don't even got in an accident this long. I'm knock on wood and keep on going. Okay, that's your mindset. I can't do that. Well, what are you going to do in case of a fire? I'm going to run out. Do you have smoke detectors in your house? Well, I do, but the battery hasn't worked in so many years. We have batteries in our smoke detectors. We have fire extinguishers. We have a plan of action, a list of things that we need. Documents are put in a fireproof safe ahead of time. Exit strategies are in there. We have a code word for our family that means, hey, look, I don't give a darn what you're doing, and I'm keeping it clean for your audience. You better find out what's going on because dad has texted, mom has texted, or one of the kids has texted the code word 911. That means snap, it's there. And we've had to exercise that. What do I tell my students when they do that? I really want you to keep in contact with me. Keep living your life how you want to, but keep in contact with me because I know something's going to happen to you. It's like the person who says, what are you doing? I'm going to drive up to the UP or I'm going to drive across the country, but you only have 4 tires. You don't take a spare with you. Well, I haven't blown out a tire yet. It's a
Figure
matter
it
of
out
time.
if it happens.
I'll figure it out if it happens. And so that's the person that didn't save anything for their retirement. That's the person who says somebody's going to take care of me. That's the person who is probably the most dangerous because did you go to the doctor? Well, no, I'll figure it out when it happens. Well, we could have stopped this before it got serious. That's not a plan. By the way, it is a plan. It's a plan to fail. It is not a plan for success. It's a plan for failure. It's a plan for catastrophic failure, and it's teaching other people. Do you have life insurance on you? Yeah. Well, the life insurance isn't for you. I agree. We should call it death insurance or unalived insurance, whatever it is, but it doesn't come to you. It's there so that your wife can take care of herself, or that you and your wife can now take care of your children because there's going to be income that's not generated anymore. We need to have a plan. Especially people with melanated skin need to have a plan of action for almost everything in their life. I'm talking as low as how often do you cut the grass? Do you get the snowblower checked? Do you get the lawnmower checked? When was the last time you changed the blades? Did you change the oil in your car? Do you wait for the tire to blow out or do you buy new tires beforehand? You have got to have a plan for everything in your life. A firearm is just another thing that you have to have a plan for. If you don't want a firearm, do you want a baseball bat? And I talk to my students about not using baseball bats. I show a video of a gentleman getting tased because Hollywood has got them tricked that as soon as you tase somebody, they wake up 20 minutes later. And I'm like, no, it's about a 5 second ride that as soon as it's done, it's over with. And in that 5 seconds, when I show the video, you hear the guy in about 3 seconds saying, ride it out, ride it out, ride it out. And then it's over with, and that person can pop back up and go.
Mm. Yeah. It's I often say figuring it out is not a good keyword plan. Um, and as we get older in this thing, if we're able to live to see another day every day, you should make a plan. You should have a plan. Figuring it out is not a plan. It's too mundane to say the least. So another question that I have for you is, why is situational awareness uh more important than marksmanship?
Because it prevents you from having to go to marksmanship. Situational awareness, if you see a situation coming about, I tell my students, I have been called everything from a child of God to a woman's body part to a female dog. And I've had my firearm with me with one in the chamber and a backup magazine. And you know what I did? Walked away. You see your situational awareness doesn't mean you have to engage. It doesn't mean that you're a coward because you go, hold on, these 30 teenagers are brawling in the mall. And my wife will tell you that when that situation popped off, I had grabbed my daughter and my son, and we didn't walk down the main fairway. We walked towards the edge so we could get some kind of cover. And my wife is looking back, and I literally mouthed to her in one of my most vigorous facial expression. And she looked at me and said, okay. And the reason why I did that is because with that many young Thundercats is what I'm gonna call them. I'm not gonna call them YNs, but they're young Thundercats. And I don't know if they were all African American or melanated people, but the young people were fighting. More than likely, somebody had a firearm in that crew. And most of them don't have marksmanship skills or any type of skills when it comes to a firearm. And a stray bullet hits other people because we know you've seen it in the movie. They turn it to the side or upside down, or they're sticking it way up here. Accidents happen. I was getting out of there, and by the time we made it to the door, the police were walking in. And I said, in no uncertain circumstances to the police, they're that way. We got up and we left. A situational awareness, use it when you're at Myers grocery shopping. I know I shop with my wife. You shop with your wife?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And so these people with these shopping carts try to crash into you at every turn, at every aisle. Sometimes they just block the aisle and then go to looking like they're the only ones in the grocery store. You see 15 people in this aisle right now, especially during Thanksgiving. Be courteous, pull over. Situational awareness, where'd you park your car at? Situational awareness, how many people are in the bank? Situational awareness, how many people are in the drive through? Do you go inside or do you go outside? You're using situational awareness 7 days a week, every time you're doing something. So don't come to my class and go, I don't know about situational awareness, because I give my students a pop quiz. When you pulled in, how many cars were out there? What colors were they? What makes and model were they?
No, I think a lot of people are so um engulfed, and I'm using that word lightly, into their phones, where phones are the biggest distraction for situational awareness. Um, Sometimes kids are the biggest distraction for situational awareness, and it's said kids calling you on said phone. So uh, now we come to a part of the episode that I like to call rapid fire questions. So these are questions that I'm going to hit you with, and I want you to come with the quick, not the, hey, man, let me think about that. So I like to catch people a little bit off guard.
I got my
So,
Michigan buzzer right here.
okay, well, we gonna leave Michigan out the conversation. Another show, another show. All right, so peanut butter and jelly sandwich or ham sandwich?
Peanut butter and jelly.
Striker fired or hammer fired?
Striker fire.
Appendix carry or strong side?
Appendix carry. On the strong side.
Okay. Ting ting. Red dot or iron for everyday carry?
Red dot without a doubt. Red dot, winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Range day solo or teaching a class?
In the class,
Okay, dry fire at home or live fire at the range?
live fire at the range.
All
Am
right,
I
all
paying
right,
for
all
the
right.
ammo? If I'm paying
I
for
know.
the ammo,
Nice, nice, nice. All right. So, man, I will say, I always ask this question, and I know that it could vary from day to day, week to week, month to month. Tell the good people a little bit about your EDC and what you are carrying today.
I am literally sitting here now after plowing my snow with my EDC. I am carrying the Springfield Armory Hellcat RDP with a 15 round magazine in it and a red dot and a compensator on it on my strong side. And I do that even in my class. And my students are amazed that they have to look so hard to try to find where I'm carrying at. And one of the things that I tell them when we talk about appendix carry is I literally look at them and I go, when was the last time somebody stared at you in that area? And they go, they don't. I said, exactly. I said, I encourage women to carry appendix style. Why? Because if the guy is looking at you in that area, you automatically know that's not somebody that you want to have a conversation with.
Good point. Good point. Good point. Good point. So, let me ask you. So, what's the most common new shooter mistake that you've seen that still makes you laugh, but you still have to correct it immediately that you've seen in your students?
When I tell them to double tap a threat and I give them the cadence, clack, 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 or I show them on the range, boom, 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 and they go, yeah, I'm going to double tap, boom, boom. No, it's dum dum, dum dum, dum dum, dum dum. Well, I wanted to line everything back up and I had to get my sights on and I had to get precise. Stop. I'm not teaching you marksmanship. I'm teaching you defensive accuracy. Defensive accuracy is boom, 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 and assess. Marksmanship is exhale, feel the trigger. I'm about to go. Boom. And I'm like, that's a different class altogether. And you might want a long range rifle for that. A short range rifle, you would have been overtaken, especially if it's two or three young Thundercats, because if you get one shot off and you are shocked that you hit the person you want to assess, that person may go down. But are you paying attention to the one person who went down? Because his friend who has been with him from way back in the day and they together like four flats on a Cadillac comes charging at you, are you going to be able to get another shot off? And it's about getting that second shot off. And what Hollywood has shown is that a lot of times, well, one shot and they take off running. I can show you a video of five kids in Detroit. It's on YouTube and it happened in Detroit, so I believe it, where they didn't even have a real gun. They had a spray painted rubber gun, broke into the lady's house for the second time. The lady fired a gun off. They left and came back to see if she would shoot again. So when people are talking about, but that doesn't make sense. Neither does breaking into a house when you think about it. Get a job, find some type of work if you have to walk to a job. Mac, have you always had your ideal job or have you had to work on a job that it paid a bill, it helped with a bill until you get to where you need to be?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Multiple jobs at that.
Yeah.
Sometimes two jobs. So,
And that's what I have to tell a lot of the young people is that I literally worked two jobs. When me and my wife were dating, I started at the DMM, the Dexter Mitchell Motorcycle Fund, DMMF. And I asked people to donate to it. I asked people to give monies to it. I worked a job as a teacher's aide and I got a job working at a child's place from there. And they saw the energy that I brought to it. They then offered me a management position. After I got into the management position, the people in Detroit saw the energy that I brought to that position. They started trying to poach me. And my boss at the time was like this, he's not interested in going to Detroit. I was like, you should have let me make that decision. And she was like,
right, right.
no, we're not going to lose you. Do you want to go
Yeah,
to Detroit? I said, no, but I'd like to be the adult in the room to say whether I wanted to go to Detroit or not. It feels good to feel wanted.
absolutely.
And so from there, You have to work for what you want. You have to have a plan. We both get up early in the morning and we are not in our 20s any longer. I'll say it that way. So I have to stretch. I have to do some morning exercises, put in a prayer, meditation, stretch, get your exercise on, eat healthier. However, you're here for the long haul. You're not here for the short term. And that's what we have to explain to a lot of new people and a lot of young people who want the microwave generation. Fortunately for me, I still remember oven cooking. I still remember fried bologna sandwich, cutting off that cheese, trying to balance that powder with the milk. What you have and what you want, you just have to work for it. And sometimes people aren't going to give it to you. In the words of, I think it, and I might be wrong, but I think it's Tupac. Every morning I get up, I know I got to work for it. I got to go for it. Nobody's going to give me, and Tupac goes into his language, but I'm going to keep it clean. Nobody's giving you anything. You got to work for it.
You got to work for it. You got to work for it. So, let's ask you this question. What's your polite instructor way of saying, let's try that again, but safer?
You sure you want to do that?
so, so the reason why I'm asking that question, um, let's talk, what is it called? The terminology of slide bite.
Oh, let me make sure. No, no, that wasn't a rhetorical question to you. That was my instructor and answer.
That was your answer.
That was my politically
Do
correct
you want
answer.
to
So,
do that?
do you want to do that? Do you want to do that? Or
Or
a
is it,
lot
do
of
you want to
times,
do that again?
do you want to do that? So a lot of time, especially with the slide bite, when you're talking about that, that's when I'm like, look, you get my calm instructor voice now. You don't want my dad instructor voice going on there because I'm going to thump you on your shoulder if you're doing something wrong. And typically, I have some lines on their fingers so that they know to keep them together. And I do easy math for my students. How many trigger fingers do you have? I'm asking you the question. How many trigger fingers do you have? How many thumbs do you have? Okay. How many strong fingers do you have on your strong side?
Fingers do I have?
Yep, on your strong, because your thumb is spoken for, your trigger finger
Yep.
is spoken for.
3.
And on your support hand, how many fingers do you have?
4.
All of them have been accounted for. So if you can count to 4, you know where all your stuff should be at. And many of my students go, I have one thumb. You sure you have one thumb? Yeah, well, I have one trigger finger. Because you're only squeezing the trigger with one finger. Oh, but you're holding the gun with 2 thumbs. Yes. And so they're like, oh, you got me. That's the biggest thing is new students overthink everything
Well, because they're
until
new students, right?
yeah, until you break it down to them and make them feel comfortable. And I go back to it. Laughter makes people feel comfortable, and laughter also gives them the ability to remember things longer because they're going to forget 80% of what they learned in the class. I don't care what anybody else says, I'm going to tell you they are going to forget. And a lot of my teaching style comes from I used to teach lifeguarding. I used to be a lifeguard. I used to be a swimmer. And we always had these nice little polite ways of tapping out if you got too close and it would let people go. Until one day I looked down at the water and it was a 16-year-old Cod Diesel guy in a tube. It was at a wave pool. And I looked down my chair and I said, can you swim? And he said, no, but I got this tube. I said, you need to get down there to the shallow end. As he reached, the waves started coming and he was trying to pedal himself back out of the deep end. He capsized. And I said, is this joker coming up? He said, no. I jumped into the water and I jumped too close to him. And when I tell you he grabbed me, Mac, my nose went about 3 inches into his chest. And this joker didn't care about nothing but him breathing. And so I tapped because, that's what they told me. If you tap, they'll let you go. Not if he's saying, who's going to live, me or you? And it was clearly him. I did some unprofessional lifeguarding things. I grabbed that rope, put that canister, because it was a hard canister back in those days, and I jacked that joker in his stomach, pushed him up. I touched the bottom of the pool, and when I came up, I was baptized, and there was a new me that came out. And I told my students ever since then, I was like, look, I'm going to tell you now, I'd rather have you in class and grab you and hold you than have you get out in that pool and have 2 near drownings where somebody has to come save a lifeguard. That has translated into my firearm teaching. I will testify against my students if you shoot somebody in the leg. because that's not where I'm teaching you to shoot. I'm teaching you to eliminate the threat. So you got the cardiovascular triangle. You can always try headshot and it's hard, or you've got the mechanical region so that they will not pursue after you. But if you start to do that Harlem Night, shoot them in the pinky toe, I'm gonna be in court to my judge. They did not hear that from me. Matter of fact, I gave them the example not to do that.
That's right. So, here's a good question for you, a little more lighthearted. Have you ever ran into a female shooter that says to you, looks you in the face and says, "Dear Mr. Instructor, I want to shoot like Holly Berry and Jane Wick, or I want to be the next lioness shooter. I want to shoot like I'm on SEAL Team 6." But she's new to firearms and she has motion pictureitis.
I have not had a student say that to me. I have said that to some new shooters. And I have said, "This the first time you shooting?" "Well, yeah." I'm like, when your wife tells you to be home, you're gonna need to be home. Cause I'm looking at your score and I'm looking at her score, and she's got 5 bullseyes and you are all over the place. But some of those female shooters come out and they're more coachable than male shooters. And so a coachable female shooter can look like Jane Wick, can look like Lanny Oakley, um, can come out shooting that way. Now I had one student who opened up her own shooting club, and she was just innate with it, and it was in Saginaw. It's a women's shooting club, and she did it with the church group, loved it. And now her son does some political work, and he's like, "Yeah, my mom still talks about shooting with you." But they advanced on their own. So I would nurture it. I would hope they would grow into it, because educated, qualified shooters, especially those who look like you and me, are in great demand. And I don't care if you open up the market to other people and other people become teachers. One of my students is now doing podcasts and running classes and doing all this other stuff and going to different conferences that I haven't been to yet. You know what I am? I'm extremely proud because he started there, but he elevated the game. I've got another student who did years in the Marine Corps, came in, liked the stuff. He's doing some additional stuff. I have been able to have a small corner in their life to help them out. That is the greatest thing. So, educated shooters, I love. Shooters who take it serious, I love. Students who want to find out about the law and find out about more things, I love. Those students who want to shortcut it, cheat, not necessarily follow the rules, you're setting yourself up for disaster. That's the same as a person who's not planning. You are planning. You're planning to fail, and you're planning to have an epic fail.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's ask you this. Let's talk about gears and gadgets real quick, but not in a way that we talk about it as we instruct. Okay. So here's an insightful question for you. So, what is an item for your everyday carry that is not a firearm,
Knife.
and why?
Because it's closer. Most people won't even say anything to you if you're carrying a knife. It's uniquely ironic, and I use that in a think about it way. Most companies, "Oh, you can't bring a firearm in here." But you say absolutely nothing to the people who come in with. Matter of fact, some places provide you with the box cutter, provide you with the knife to open up stuff. You do realize if you don't like your fellow employee, you can stab them. Well, the philosophy then is you can't stab as many people as you can shoot with the gun. I need you to clearly hear what you're saying. I'm willing to sacrifice 5 people, but not 10 people. Which 5 people are you willing to sacrifice? Which 2 people are you willing to sacrifice? Which one person are you willing to sacrifice? That doesn't
Fact.
sound like a team player to me. That sounds like, well, but the guns are really, really bad. Are your employees really bad? I worked for a municipality that I literally said, "I'm going to implement a don't ask, don't tell rule." And when our insurance person said, I said, "Well, do you have a firearm policy?" I said, "Well, we operate with a don't ask, don't tell. There are police on this side that have gun. Well, what about your administration on this side?" I don't ask them, they don't tell me. And they just kind of went, "Oh, okay." "Why?" I said, "Because we often collect taxes here, and although the police are on the other side, if somebody shows up and they're mad because they don't see the municipality as the bad guy, They're counting taxes for everybody. That means that school millage that you voted no for, that you still have to pay for, that sidewalk project that you said no to, you still have to pay for, that road project that you said no to, you still have to pay for it, sewer, all of those things that your house that you love, you got to pay taxes on that. People get angry. They want to break the glass. They want to yell at the people. And you're like, you do realize that your local guy that you're willing to go beat up only gets probably not even 7% of those taxes. The rest go to other things throughout the county or throughout the area.
Facts. So, second question in the series is, what is in your opinion, one gun accessory that you feel is not necessary or overrated?
That's overrated?
Overrated. So, should I give an example or are you
No,
good?
I'm good.
Okay. Okay.
I think the tactical flashlight under a gun is overrated. I, I think it's overrated because I own one. So when people go, well, I'm like, so talk to me about that. And I tell them, I said, if you're paid security and you're doing a warehouse, great, you need that. If you're a police officer and you're patrolling some areas, great, you need that. If you're at home, and I talk to my students like we're having a conversation, and I tell them, I'm in a mature age group now where sometimes in the middle of the night, I have to get up because nature's calling. How many lights do you turn on in the house? And the younger people be like this. Well, I turn on the bathroom light and I turn on this light. The mature people be like this. I get up there and I walk into I said, that's exactly who I'm talking to. You're at your house. Why do you need a flashlight underneath your firearm? And then my answer to them is I pick up one of the blue guns, which is multiple colors, but it's rubber. And I put the light underneath and I said, you do realize that every time you point that flashlight at a person, you're pointing a gun at that person. So in the mature group, you may have a grandchild that thinks it's funny to jump out and scare you. You may have a child who thinks it's funny to jump out and scare you. Your cat, your dog may scare you. Why are you patrolling your house with a flashlight? Do you have night lights? You should be able to walk through your house with a limited amount of vision because you know everything's there. Now, I do add this caveat. In my house, we have some big dogs, and I get pissy when I step on a dog toy that's just laying in the middle of the floor.
I totally get it. I totally get it. So, what is one piece of equipment that one of your students has said to you, "Hey, uh, dear Dexter or Mr. Dexter, hey, I went out and I bought this piece of gear." Uh, what like what piece of gear do you think is not necessary in order to carry your firearm for everyday carry besides the flashlight? I'm just saying, it could be the flashlight, but I'm talking about outside of the house, not inside the house.
So if you're saying outside of the house, I really haven't run into that. But I piggyback in off of that because I gave that illustration and one of the guys in my class said, yeah, well, we shouldn't have bought that. And I was like, well, you shouldn't have bought what? What? He goes, we bought a Glock with with a laser underneath it and a flashlight, and he bought it for $400. I said, oh, that was a good price. It came with that. He goes, yeah, for $400 we bought it used, and he showed it to me. Had an enhanced trigger, enhanced rear sight. I said, stop. For the price that you paid for that, that was a great deal. So you have to balance it out. All of them aren't good, all of them aren't bad, but you've got it. Okay, be careful. Do not use that as a flashlight. I'd rather have you have a flashlight in one hand and a gun in the other because you can at least be at a low ready with your pistol and walking around beaming your light. And if something happens, you can then take that light, throw it over here. The bad guy follows the light. You turn around and then shoot him. One of the things I think is most necessary, and it just not clicked, but it helped enhance why I love it so much, is a red dot at night or in low light shooting situations. I just went outdoors to our local range. I call it the lab, and we were doing some iron sight. We were doing some shooting on plates, and it's six of them that are standing up there. And I was knocking mine down using my red dot. My buddy was using his iron sights at night and could not lock in on them as fast as I did. That red dot at night, superb. And it doesn't give your position away. You're the only one that can see it. It gives you a focal point. And if you worked with it, I literally went bang, 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 bang. Kept going.
Nice. So, would you tell one of your students like that one of the next steps that they should do or that they should have in their tool belt, i.e., tool belt, would be to take a CQD course,
Yes.
close quarter drills, close quarter defense drills. Would you would you say, hey, the next step is knowing how to move inside?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Not even would I tell them to do that. I talk to my students about joining the league. And so I talk to my students about joining the USPSA, United States Practical Shooting Association, which is running and gunning, where you can shoot from cover. You have to get up. You have to put that paper down range. You're shooting at steel plate targets. You're shooting at cardboard targets. You're shooting at pop-ups that swing. All of those are designed to build your confidence up. And what you're going against is you versus you. And if you could do any of those things, you are so much further than the basic shooter.
Get it. I totally get it. You're absolutely right. I know when we went through some church security, and during that course we also, and this is a course given by USCCA. Shout out to USCCA for not only a firearms insurance, but they have multiple different courses that you can take and learn from, which has been very inspirational for us. Uh, so I'm going to lead you to another question, and it is I lost my train of thought. That happens. That happens. So what is one decision that you hope that your students never have to make
Have-
after taking your class?
That they have to eliminate a threat.
That they have to eliminate a threat?
Yep, that they have to eliminate a threat. That is the decision that I don't want them to make. And if I'm aware that my students have had to do something like that, I would then offer some type of counseling to them on a professional level. Because we can talk about it, we can plan for it, we can hope that it never happens. If something like that happens and you have to make that decision, make sure that you have some type of insurance. So again, I would echo your shouts out to the USCCA. Have that insurance, have your legal team there. Look for some therapy afterwards because you're going to have to talk to somebody about what's going on. And I would not tell my students to talk to me, yeah, and let me know everything that went on. No, because I can be called as a witness to testify against you. Your therapist cannot. Talk to your therapist, talk to your legal team. Do not talk to all of your friends. Do not go and confess it to the world. If you need to talk to your priest, your rabbi, your spiritual advisor, okay. Those positions are typically covered by legal things. And I'm not saying that they've done anything wrong. I'm saying I'd rather have you covered than exposed. But that's what we teach already.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, last question that I have to ask. I know we've been sitting here at the bar for quite some time, and I know we both have things to do. That being said, if you had to leave the people one piece of advice about firearm storage, safety in the home, especially with small kids, and next steps for growth in the firearm industry. So we're talking multiple questions here, but what would you leave the good people with, Dexter? You are a professional. You are highly sought after in terms of your wisdom. Hey, tell the good people your thoughts on that.
Lock them up. Do not leave them laying around. And I amplify that question with not just your young children. My son is over 21. We still lock our stuff up. My daughter is older than that. Um, we still lock our stuff up. Be prepared to have multiple small lock boxes. We have a safe with an arsenal of firearms into it. But we have strategically placed weapons throughout our home in case something happens. But you're talking to people who have strategically placed fire extinguishers throughout their home in case something happens. You're talking to a family who has a code word in case something happens. You plan for these things. You hope that those days never come, but plan for it. In Michigan in 2013 or 2014, no, 2024, yeah, it was 2024, I believe, passed the law that now you have to have firearms locked up. Lock them up. Have your magazines there. Have the magazines loaded already, so all you have to do is drop it in, rack one back, and go from there. Provide yourself with safety equipment, motion sensors. I'm a dog person. Get a dog. I don't care if it's a 2 pound dog. Those 2 pound dogs yipe just as much as the big dogs do. The big dogs sometimes don't yipe. They just like this. Come on in. I'm here for
I'm
you.
hungry. I'm
You
hungry.
can't leave. It's like the Hotel California. You can check in whenever you want to, but you can't check out. So, I mean, it's some of the things are good, some of the things are bad, but um, be prepared. That's the essence of everything. Be ready. Do not be sitting on your couch for another 9/11 and going, what the heck happened? Because if you don't know your past, you're bound to repeat it.
Man, that is really great advice, man. Like big shout out to one of my sponsors, Black Pearl of Genealogy. The good people over at the Black Pearls of Genealogy. Check them out on the website. Man, they go back and they talk about your past, your history, where you come from. Man, you can learn so much. It's very in depth. Plan on having them on the show at some point. But please take your time, go over to Black Pearls of Genealogy. Good friend David Taylor over there, who is the owner, originator of Black Pearl Genealogy. Would love to talk to you so you can find a lot more about your history. But hey, Dexter, it was an incredible conversation. We always have great conversations all the time, man. We can be talking about football, baseball, hockey. I don't know a whole lot about that, but firearms is one thing that we talk about a lot because we compare. You taught me a lot of things. Hopefully, I gave you some insight on some things. But I truly appreciate the time that you have taken to and wisdom that you shared with us. Here at the cafe, the Pew Pew Cafe, we we like to do things the right way. We love to educate people. We love to keep them informed. And I plan on having you on the show a lot more, man. We got to talk about some things that's going on in the world that make you kind of scratch your head. And there are things that people think about, but they don't have anyone there to talk about it with. They're like, why did this happen? Why did that happen? Or was this the best response? Sometimes we're not the expert on everything, but we definitely can talk about it. And we have an opinion on them. So just know that owning a firearm is a right, but carrying one is a responsibility. So just keep that in mind. So education is extra. So,
Amen.
hey, if you have liked everything you've heard at the Pew Pew Cafe, man, come on in at some point, pull up a chair, have a drink, smoke a stick, and let's have a talk about it. But please don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a review, as well as share this episode with somebody. Might be somebody who needs to hear exactly what Mr. Dexter Mitchell was talking about. I know I always enjoy a good conversation. Hey, once again, Dexter, thank you for coming on the show and whatnot with us. Please tell the people how to get in touch with you if they need to sign up for a class, if they need to just reach out to you to say, hey, here's a good question for you. Can you help me?
All right. So my email is info at vividarmor.com. And that's vividarmor.com. My website, same name, vividarmor.com, which will be updated in the next few days to show all of the 2026 classes. Both standard classes are in Kalamazoo and in Saginaw. However, I do travel. So I've taught in Detroit, Grand Rapids, Flint, Pontiac, um, Holland. So I get around and it is mobile. I've taught, and I call them the Huxtables. I've taught at a home for a doctor who was African American and his wife was a lawyer. That's why I call them the Huxtables because they wanted a floor plan of how to walk through their house and how they should secure that along with their children. So those are my handles, and you can find me on Instagram as well under Vivid Armor.
Hey, man, thanks a lot. Hey, people. Hey, as always, remember to stay alert, stay trained, stay responsible. I'm Mac Williams. This has been the Pew Pew Cafe. Till next time, keep your bourbon glasses filled, keep your sticks burning, and we'll see you on the other side.